the young little boy, he says, tell Naaman to go to the Jordan River.
Come on. 7 times.
And jump in that water 7 times.
Come on.
Come on. Wow.
So this little boy goes to Naaman as Naaman stands in his chariot and looks down at him.
Okay.
And he says, my Lord, the prophet says to go to the Jordan River and jump in it.
Okay.
Not once.
Right.
Not twice.
Right.
Not 3 times.
All right, come on.
But that many.
Yes.
7 times.
7 times. Naaman was heated. Naaman was like, don't you know who I am? Can't you at least have your prophet come to the door and greet me? Can't he call on his Lord and move his hands for this thing to be fixed and over? I traveled this far.
Come on.
And he gonna send you out here and tell me to jump in the Jordan River 7 times? Aren't the waters of Abner and far of Damascus much more pristine than your dirty Jordan River?
Come on now. See?
You see, this is the Jordan River that you know, John baptized Jesus in the New Testament. He didn't know nothing about no Jordan River.
Come on.
Okay.
You know, but he said, I'm not jumping in the Jordan River. Not today.
Okay.
See?
And he turns around and heads out.
Wow. Wow.
Night falls and there's a fire that burns.
Wow.
You sit around the fire and once again a young person goes to Naaman as Naaman broods about his circumstance. On the one hand, Naaman could go back the way he was, but he ain't getting no better.
That's right.
The other thing is he could go and kill the prophet because he didn't do what he wanted him to do. Some young fella comes up and says, my Lord, if the prophet asked you to do something great, would you do it?
Come on.
He said, absolutely, because I am great.
Wow. Wow.
He said, well, if the prophet asked you to do something, and I'm paraphrasing, to help yourself,
All right.
See?
why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah.
Right.
And there's silence. All you hear is the popping and the snapping of the wood in the fire. And you see a man who's at the point of having to make a decision staring in the fire. Recognizing that he's getting older and he's not getting younger. And that this condition, if it continues to go on, will shorten his career. And if he goes and fights one more time because he's slow and the arrow just might catch him. Sits there, says nothing, and nobody else says nothing. Everybody got good sense.
Right.
Let him think about it.
Right.
Morning comes and Naaman decides he's going to go to the river.
Oh, yes.
What he does is he takes off his clothes and he exposes himself before his inner circle. And they see the deformity and depravity and the limited motion that he has. They see the pus. They see what looks awful.
Wow.
Because they see that he needs help.
My Lord.
And he does something that makes no sense whatsoever. He does something that he don't necessarily believe in.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And he's in an enemy's territory, and he can't cover this up now. He steps in the water, and he goes down in the water, and he comes up the first time, and he looks exactly the same. He just looks a little bit more wet.
Come on.
Come on now.
Smell like a creek.
Right.
That's about it. He goes down a second time. He comes back up, and he still looks the same. He goes down the third time, And I'm sure those that are around him saying, Lord, wherever you are, this better work. Because if this man don't get cleaned up, we got a problem.
Right.
Goes down a fourth time, and the repetition makes it seem as if he's wasting his time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all right. That's all right.
Have you ever done something over and over again and you get the same results and it seems
Yeah.
like you're just wasting your time?
Yeah, focus though. Focus.
You've done this before, you've heard it before, and it don't make no sense, so why am I going to do this anyway?
Yeah.
Now, you're the one that need to get the blessing.
That's
Yes, you
right.
do.
But nonetheless, you're going to prescribe how it should come.
Yeah.
You're going to diagnose what should happen because you know.
Right.
But, you know, Naaman had to have a commitment to get wet in the first place.
Yeah.
It's not every day that you want to get soaked.
That's right.
Right.
It's not every day that you want to go and take a risk to your life in order for you to have life. Not every day. Despite Naaman's temperament, despite what he fought for, Naaman had some good qualities.
Yes, sir.
There's some qualities that Naaman had
Okay.
that wouldn't be bad for us to have. Naaman goes down a fifth or the sixth time, and everybody's holding their breath for the seventh. He goes down on the seventh, and he comes up, and he's clean
Come on. Come on.
as a baby.
Come on.
Yeah.
And he can't believe what he sees. He really can't because he didn't believe.
That's
Right.
right. That's right.
God heals those that don't believe like we believe.
Yes.
Right.
God will have you get the answer to your prayer if you're willing to do the repetition of what he says
right.
do.
Come on. That's good.
That's
Now.
If you're willing to do what doesn't make sense, if you're willing for somebody to look at you cross-eyed and think you crazy,
Come on.
if
Come on.
you're
Come
willing to
on.
cash in all that you
Yeah.
got and
Come
go
on.
for broke and look a fool,
Yeah.
God will give you what you ask for if you'll do what he says to do.
All right. All right.
That's right.
And so Naaman is healed not at the blink of an eye, not at the pass of a wand, not because the prophet healed him. He did what the prophet told him he needed to do. Sometimes God brings people in our lives and he tells us just what we need to do, but we don't want to do it.
Right. Right.
Because
Come on.
we've done it before. We don't want to take our medicine because we've done it
Come on
before.
now.
We don't want to go to the doctor because we've done it before. We don't want to listen because we've listened before. We don't want to go down that road because we've been down that road before and we know what's at the end of the road, but sometimes God sends somebody your way who knows something that you don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, he does.
And if you would but listen and do the thing, you'll find that God is in the midst.
Oh, yeah.
It ain't the MD,
That's
it's
right.
Jesus.
Come on now.
It ain't the medicine,
That's right.
it's his touch.
Yeah.
Thank you,
It's
Lord.
not because you know somebody, it's because God knows you and
That's
you
right.
know God.
Come on, come
And that's
on
the
now.
only way in which
That's
your
right.
blessing will come.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Down through the years, the church has had people who have had conditions.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, all of us stand on the shoulders of those that have had conditions.
Right.
And they've learned the lesson that you're listening to on this day, that they have to be obedient and do some things that don't sound like they should do. And they have to risk failure even when others think they're going to fail.
Right. Right.
Because they don't want them to get better.
That's right.
And they don't want them to do it that way.
That's right.
They don't want them to hang with that particular company because these people have always done something to these people and us people don't never get with no people.
Right. Come on.
We got an issue, and so we're going to keep having an issue because that's what we live and die for, is an issue. But at the same time, we're praying to God for God to heal our condition.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on. Come on now.
In order for the condition to be healed, you have to know from whence your help comes from.
Yeah.
And what we have to understand is when God heals us, it's a process. And if you don't get nothing from what I'm saying up here, it's a process.
Oh, yeah.
Process.
I told you a long story so you get the point that it's a process.
Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on
That's
now.
right.
And so when you go through a process, sometimes that process makes no sense. Sometimes that process is frustrating.
Yeah.
Sometimes that process can be humiliating and humbling. Sometimes that process requires that you expose yourself in ways that others have not seen.
Come on, come on.
But it's a process. Whenever you ask God to bless you, you have to understand that He has then put you in a process for you to be blessed. But just because you don't get it when you think you ought to get it, the way you ought to get it, and it don't come the way you think it ought to come, don't mean that He ain't working behind the scenes to make sure that you are blessed. Because that's how God operates.
Oh, yeah.
It's a process.
Yes.
So we go back to the temple. We find this man with a withered hand. And what Jesus says, He tells him to stretch it out.
Yes.
Let everybody see this withered hand. Let everyone know that it's your right hand that's withered.
That's right.
Let everyone know that you're coming to me in order for me to heal this wretchedness that you've been carrying all along, that you've been hiding, that's been keeping you up at night. Stretch it out. Right there in the temple. Some wonder, why would God do that? Because somebody else going through something.
That's right. That's right.
Because somebody else needs to be healed.
Oh, yeah.
Because somebody else got a problem with their hand, their back, their neck, their head, their foot. Somebody else got something they got to deal with. That's why. If you remember, the prophet told Naaman to go back to Syria and just tell him what happened. He didn't want nothing. He couldn't pay God. Just go and let people see what happened. Jesus heals the man with the withered hand once he exposes himself on a Sunday in the temple in front of the critics.
That's right.
And so what is your condition? What are you willing to do with your condition? When God heals is when we go through the process. The process that He sets up for us to go through. God still heals.
Yes, He does.
It just doesn't come the way we think it ought to.
That's right.
It's not necessarily when we think it should happen. But He's paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing the thing. And so what you can do is you can be faithful.
Oh, yeah.
You could pray. You can believe. But even if you don't believe like Naaman, God is still good enough to heal you.
Yes.
Because that's who God is. He is divine and He will heal you. Because He loves you more than you love yourself. Because He's been there and He ain't going nowhere. You might go somewhere, but He ain't going nowhere. He's right there, rocking steady, and He knows exactly what you're dealing with. So now what you have to do is you have to act like it. You have to act like you got God on your side.
That's right.
You got to think positive that despite whatever your condition is, that you're going to work through it. If God's given you a reasonable portion of health and strength, if God's given you a sound mind, you got a real good shot at getting better.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a matter of doing some things different.
Come on now.
You see, if you're not willing to do nothing different, ain't nothing different going to happen.
That's right.
Just the same old, same old.
That's right. That's right.
A lot of times we get stuck in our ways and we're not willing to do nothing different. Naaman was willing to do something different.
Come on.
Even though he didn't necessarily buy into the prophet, he was willing to do something different.
Come on.
He was willing to expose himself and to go somewhere and to do something over and over again, and he was willing to try.
Right.
When you quit, when you give up, when you throw up your hands, you cut off your blessing.
Come on.
God blesses the man or the woman or the child that tries.
Come on.
That's where He meets you in midair and holds you there to let you know, I got this.
Yes.
And God has always had it. But all He requires is that you try. You see, when you try, there's not too much argument with other folks because you trying.
Yes.
You see, when somebody's not trying, they can find something wrong all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They look for problems.
Yes. That's
They are picking with problems.
Yeah.
They're easily easily insulted, right?
Yeah.
And they instigate and they provoke
Yeah.
because they're not trying like you try.
Come on
You
now.
see, God wants you to maintain your focus.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
yeah.
Yes,
So that when you try, he gets the glory. And you understand it was him in the first place.
That's right.
God requires that you try like Naaman, that you try like the man with the withered hand, that you do the best you can with what you have. It's not about who you know, it's the fact that God is who he says he is.
Yes, he is. Yes, he
Yes.
is.
Yes.
Yes,
And
he
so
is.
God still heals.
Yes, he does. He does.
You might be dealing with a situation, emotional, might be mental,
Right.
it might be post-traumatic stress disorder.
Come on.
Come on.
God can put a good memory in the midst of post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes, he can.
He can bring tears to your eyes and make your lower lip quiver because he's so good.
Yes, he is.
Because he is God and he is God all by himself.
That's right.
And so you don't let something negative run and control you.
That's right.
You don't do that.
Come on.
What you do is you have the hope and the belief that God is going to make whatever needs to happen, happen.
Come on, brother.
Because all you doing is you trying with your little bit, and your prayer is, God, please make my little bit much. And then when people say all the many things that you've done down through the years, you realize that God's blessed you and that you're getting old because he's blessed you.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
You want to keep getting older.
Yeah.
You want to do that,
That's
Yeah.
right?
Yes, you do.
So you always want to age gracefully
Grace
Yes.
in the hands of God.
Yes.
in his hand. Don't get no better.
He's the one
Oh, yes.
that's the difference maker.
That's right.
Yes, he is.
Before I take my seat, I was with a young lady at Mount Carmel Hospital. And this young lady had twins. And there was a 5% chance that they would make it. And she called for the chaplain, and I walked down the hall and opened the door, and she's hooked up to every kind of machine you could possibly see. And she had tears streaming down her eyes. And she said, I never loved something so much I haven't seen. I'm trying the best I can. But the doctors and the nurses are telling me I'm not going to have my baby.
All right. Okay.
They're telling me they're not going to make it.
Okay.
She said, what can I do? And she rubbed her belly. And I listened to the sound of the machines and the clicking and the whirring. And I looked at the lights blinking, and I saw this person who was an aspiring mother. And I asked her, where is her husband? He said, he went home to feed the dog, but he'll be back. And I said, okay. And she said he was in the service, and he came home because I'm expecting. And I said, okay. And I told her, the first thing you could do is you could have faith.
All right.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the first thing that you can do, because nobody can take that from you, and that's something that you have.
That's right.
And the reason why I know you have that is because you called me.
That's right.
Right.
The second thing that you can do is you can have hope.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, every time you rub your belly, you're giving that child hope.
Come on.
If you don't give the child hope in the womb, child won't have hope to get out the womb.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So you can have faith
That's all.
and you can have hope.
Uh-huh.
And so she said, okay. And I said, have him call me when your husband gets back, because I would love to meet him. 2-3 hours later on my shift, come back through the door. He stands up. I said, you don't have to stand up. I'm not in the service anymore. And I shake his hand. And his problem was that he couldn't fix it. You know how you want to fix what's broken,
That's right.
and you just can't fix it.
That's right.
And all you can do is just watch and stand idly by as the thing goes on. And so I said to him, listen, you need to take care of yourself. And you need to make sure, because someday you and the missus are going to be parents, and what's right in this country is the both of you. And you got to have your A game, particularly if it's a little girl.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And so don't do something to harm yourself and get drunk and get a DWI.
Yes, sir.
Right? Because you're going to be a dad someday. And that wife and those children are going to be looking up to you. So you need to handle yourself in a way that you're in position that when the time comes, then you could be husband and you could be daddy. Said, don't hurt yourself because you hurt. You know, a lot of times we hurt ourselves because we hurt.
That's right. That's right.
And we hurt ourselves more. You know, can't nobody screw you like you.
That's right. That's right.
The devil can. Nobody can screw you like you.
That's right. That's
Right?
right.
And so what I was trying to get across to him was, don't be your own worst enemy. I hear what they're saying, right? I understand what the situation is, right? You can't fix it. She can't fix it. You both trying. But one day y'all gonna be parents. A couple weeks go by and a colleague chaplain says, this lady wants to see you again. They moved her to a different room. I said, okay. So I walked down the hall and I thought about how I believe. I thought about what I said.
Yes.
Because I didn't know what the outcome was.
Right.
And I walked down the hallway and I go to the door on the left instead of one to the right. I open the door not knowing what's on the other side of the door, and there she is sitting with her legs folded in the bed, and to her left and right
Glory to God.
Them babies.
are these little babies.
Babies.
Glory to God.
Hallelujah.
They died, but they were born alive. She says to me, I had hope.
Thank you.
I had faith.
Uh-huh.
And she said, here it is. The father's sitting there, and he says, I said, well, that's good. She said, you know what the best thing is about it? I said, no, I don't. She said, I didn't have to have a hysterectomy, so we can have a baby.
Come on.
Thank
Come
you.
on.
And I said, well, that's all right.
It's all right. That's all right.
That's right. That's right.